Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we've got a John Deere SST16, and this is a 2001 zero-turn lawn tractor, and it's pretty unique. They only made these things for 2001, 2002, and 2003. Originally they sold for $4,100, and the retail value now on the used market is about $750. We're going to clean this up and get it in and get a full service on it, and then we'll demonstrate a little bit and give you a little bit of a review. It's a pretty cool tractor. So this tractor is kind of a barn find. Bill bought it brand new in 2001, and at that time he lived in the city and used it to mow his grass. But in 2008 he retired from the Indianapolis Fire Department after having served in the Marine Corps, and he moved down here. Once he moved down here, this tractor sat in the back of the barn until we just pulled it out about a week ago. So Bill was complaining about his shoulder bothering him, and using a regular ZTR, where you have to use two hands, was putting pressure on his shoulder. So he said he'd like to pull this ZTR here out of the back of the barn and get it operating because he can drive it with one hand. So we threw a battery in it and it started right up. So we figured better get the oil changed and service it up, and he'll be using this in his garden. The front wheels on this mower are just caster wheels, and then the steering wheel either starts or stops the rear wheels independently. Now it won't make the rear wheels back up. There's a forward pedal and a reverse pedal, and of course it's hydrostatic drive. It's a pretty unique concept, and I like it a lot. This is the 16 horsepower Vanguard engine by Briggs & Stratton. And I'll tell you what, this has got the oil drain hole exactly where it needs to be, the way I like them. You just remove that cap and the oil drains right out into the pan. Pretty clean. This air filter sits right up front, and it has an inner and outer filter. The outer is just that foam piece, but then the inner is that cartridge filter. And I'll tell you what, we don't know what happened to the air box cover on this, but we do see that we can get a new one for about 50 bucks off Amazon. So that'll probably be coming. Now that the oil stopped draining, go ahead and put the cap back on and get ready to move over to the filter. I'm not sure why it has two fuel filters, but they're working, so it's good with me. We'll get this filter switched out, and any filter I replace, I write the date that we replaced it on it. It just helps kind of know at least when the last maintenance was done, especially on some of this equipment that doesn't get used real frequently. It really helps a lot. This mower takes 1.6 quarts of oil, and we're using 10W30 full synthetic. And I'll tell you what, I like using a measuring cup now. It just makes it a lot simpler than trying to gauge it out of a quart jug. Especially because the only economical way to buy the oil is in the 5-quart containers. I went ahead and lowered the mower deck all the way down to the ground, as low as it would go. And I'll tell you what, I'm not sure who could mow that low, but the reason I did this was to be able to get to these grease zerks on these spindles. Always wipe the grease zerk off before you put your grease gun on there. And by lowering that deck all the way down, I was able to get the left-hand side, and I used the lock and lube grease gun couplers, but they're a little bit longer than just the old standard ones, but I could get it hooked onto the left-hand side. But when I moved over here to the right-hand side, even with that deck all the way down, that coupler was just too long. Luckily, Lock and Lube makes this really snazzy 90-degree elbow. And one of the things that's funny about this, and I did a video on this, but this lock and lube 90-degree fitting doesn't come with any instructions, and it actually gets some bad reviews because people have trouble getting it on there. On this one, you actually loosen up that locking barrel, put it on your grease zerk, and then tighten it down. And then not only does it not leak, it works really well. But anyway, they did comment on that video and said that they would start adding instructions, so we'll see. Now we'll go the opposite way and raise the deck all the way up so that we can access the blades. This is a 42-inch mulching deck, and these blades on this are clocked, meaning that when one's point straight, the other one is horizontal, or 90 degrees opposed to each other. And it takes a 21mm socket to remove these. So to make sure these blades stay clocked correctly and don't get out of time, they've got just one position that they'll go on in there, and it's this little weird shape. It almost looks like a Briggs & Stratton logo to me. These mulching blades have a pretty unusual shape to them. There's a bunch of curves in that blade, and you're just not going to do that on a bench grinder. But I've started using this flat sander from Harbor Freight to sharpen all of my blades, and that went across all those curves with no problem. These sandpaper flat discs just do a fantastic job. I think a lot of it's because they are so flexible, they just actually hug and contour any of the little curves on there. All right, and that's one blade done and one to go. And then this mower will be ready to go out and mow. And let's see how this works because it's kind of unique as well. I've got the back end of this mower on a jack, and let's demonstrate how this ZTR actually works. So when you turn the wheel to the left, it stops the left tire and keeps the right tire going. And to go the other way, it just reverses that. A regular ZTR will actually go into reverse, and this doesn't do this. And this is called spin steer technology. But it mows pretty good. So let's get out and get to it. This is the first time I've ever mowed with a tractor like this. And actually, this is the only tractor like this that I've ever even seen. And it took me a little bit, there was a learning curve to it. But what I figured out was if you go slow but consistent, it got pretty smooth and I could get up almost as close as I could with a regular ZTR mower. I will tell you that Bill that owns this tractor, he's 84 years old. And when he operates this thing, it's like if he just thinks he wants to go that way, it goes that way. And, you know, that's just a lot of seat time. These things have almost a cult following. They don't come up for sale that often, and when they do, they get snapped up. When you're mowing, if you need to reverse and you've got your mower deck operating, if you hit that reverse pedal, the mower will just shut off. Now, to avoid that, you can pull up on the PTO switch, and then you can back up with your blade still engaged. Now my John Deere 1025R has this same feature, and I know some people were kind of disabling that by putting a clothespin underneath that, which was holding that PTO selector switch always in the extended position. I wouldn't recommend it. John Deere discontinued the SST line, or spin steer technology line, after only 3 years. And I don't think it's because of the eggshell hood. These tractors were not recommended for hilly terrain, and this is exactly why. Because the motor is so far in front of the rear wheels, and those front wheels are just caster wheels, this thing will not stay on a side hill at all. And what will happen is gravity will start pulling that front end down, and the uphill tire will stop rotating, and end up skidding along your yard. But if you've got a flat yard, these are hard to beat. All right, and we've got this John Deere SST16 back home. And I'll tell you what, over here in this garden, it's flat. So if you want a one-handed ZTR, there's your dog. If you got anything out of this video, give us a thumbs up. It absolutely helps the channel. And we invite you to subscribe to see more. Have a great day and be safe.